Islam is the admittance and recognition that there is one supreme God and being, who is almighty, all-powerful, all-loving, all-knowledgeable. There is only one God. That is the God of Abraham, of Moses, of Jesus, of Muhammad. That God is almighty, all-powerful, and worthy of being worshipped and venerated. No other being is worthy of being worshipped. Islam tells us that God continued to send prophets to mankind with the same message. So for the Muslim is one who is following the religion of Islam. For the Muslim, Islam is not new. It's not an Arabian religion. It didn't begin with the Prophet Muhammad. Moses, Abraham, Jesus, Adam, they're all teaching the same essential message with some fine-tunings, but the message is the same. There's one God, love Him with all your heart, worship Him to the best of your ability, and praise God and follow the law. And if you do so, you shall live peacefully. At least your heart will be at peace in this world, and you shall attain God's kingdom and God's grace in the next world. This, in a nutshell, is Islam. That there is but one God. This God is worthy of veneration and worship. And to be a good person, you have to believe in Him, worship Him, follow the law, obey the commandments. And if you do so, there will be a life after death, and there is heaven or hell where there is accountability. In a nutshell, Islam is the same religion that Abraham and Moses, and from our perspective, I guess we'll come to this as well, Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad taught. It's not something that began 1,500 years ago in Arabia. As being a Muslim, there are certain things you have to do. There's rituals that are mandatory. I'll just mention 3 of them, and there's actually 5. Right. Or I can actually mention very quickly the 5. Right. The first is the testimony of faith. And the testimony of faith is 2 sentences. I testify that there is no God worthy of worship other than the one true God. We call Him in Arabic Allah. Allah is not a foreign God. Allah is the Semitic term for God. Christian Arabs use the term Allah. Jewish Arabs, and yes, there are Jewish Arabs, use the term Allah. Allah is a Semitic term. And in Aramaic and Hebrew, there are similar cognates that mention the name of God. Elohim is essentially Allah. So there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger. That's the first of the 5 pillars. The second pillar, a Muslim is required to pray 5 times a day, every single day. There are no exceptions. In fact, holy days you do more prayers. 5 times a day, at particular time intervals you have to pray. The third pillar is charity. A Muslim is required to give charity to the poor annually. So once a year, Muslims have to calculate. There's a calculation depending on what you own and whatnot, and you have to give to the poor. The fourth pillar is to fast the month of Ramadan. So the one of the months of the Islamic calendar, from sunrise to sunset, you abstain from food and drink. And from intimacy with one's spouse if you're married. And that is done to appreciate God's blessings, and also with the food and drink aspect to sympathize with the poor, to force yourself to recognize that food and drink is of the greatest blessings that God has given you. So that's done once a month. And then the fifth and final, for those who are financially and physically capable, they have to undertake a pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca once in their lifetimes. And from the Muslim perspective, Mecca is the city of Abraham and Ishmael. Mecca is the city where Abraham left Ishmael. The Bible mentions leaving Ishmael in the valley of Paran. Well, for Muslims, the valley of Paran is the valley of Mecca. And the Islamic faith basically takes its heritage from the Ishmaelic side of the progeny of Abraham.